Hey guys, what's going on? Luke here from Nerdy Geek Talk, the source of our nerdy geeky needs. And joining me today are Aramis Prime, also known as Eric, and John, also known as Darth Forge, for episode 18 of Holocron Herald. As of right now, prone to change. The episode is called Avacado System.
Yes, the avocado system. Even though it's really the Avacado system, but Luke couldn't understand what it was, so he thought it was the avocado system, which is awesome. Definitely deserves the title. So
Well, I don't think if I put on subtitles, it was definitely not going to translate that right.
no, I don't blame you for not knowing that. I know it only because of playing Star Wars Monopoly. Not even kidding. Star
Woo,
Wars The Clone
product
Wars
placement.
Monopoly.
Such a
Yeah.
nerd.
So
And today we're going to be reviewing episodes 2, 3, 4 from season 1, known as... What's the first episode called?
Rising Malevolence, Shadow of Malevolence, and Destroy Malevolence.
Good for them.
If you couldn't tell, this arc is about the malevolence.
But everything's malevolent.
Especially when it comes to Grievous, who gets his introduction in these episodes. That is probably the most important part of this arc. Second most important would be the introduction of Plo Koon, who,
I
while
love
not
Plo
super
Koon.
integral to anything really, is super cool.
I love him. It's like, in my mind, he's like second wisest Jedi. It's like maybe like tied with Obi-Wan, maybe like right under Yoda.
I really
Underwise-
like his
Hmm.
clone troopers.
Yes, one is named
I like,
Boost,
yeah.
Boost, Wolf, and I can't remember the other one. Interesting.
Oh, that was Wolf?
Wolf is the one that didn't have armor. Yes.
Yeah, I saw him with he had the helmet. Like I saw a wolf helmet. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
wonder.
those were Wolf Pack troopers, but neither of those
Ah.
were Wolf. Wolf was literally the one in the gray uniform, like
Oh, never
like
mind.
cloth. Yeah, those
Screw
were
him.
Wolf. Those were Wolf Pack troopers. Which interestingly, they change colors whenever they show up again.
What's wrong
later.
with that?
I
What's
just
wrong
find
with
that
that,
odd
Eric?
because all the battalions stay true to their colors except them. You know what I just realized though? You know why they probably changed colors?
Because they all died.
Yes. Not even kidding. Yeah, they changed like a bluish gray later in the Clone Wars. Also, Wolf loses an eye later in the Clone Wars and has armor. This is Wolf's debut too. I gotta admit, it's pretty underwhelming for him. I never realized that was Wolf until years into watching. Again, I was a kid though, so take that into consideration.
You realize
Wait,
Master
what would
Plo
you-
Koon calls him Wolf, right?
No, I know, but I'm saying whenever Wolf showed up later, like he was an actual cool character, that was just a clone in a gray uniform that did nothing. So I'm
Who
saying
shows
that
up
like,
as a cool
Wolf
character.
was super cool later. Wolf wasn't super cool in this episode. He just did nothing. He had no armor either. And armor is a very key part to recognizing a clone. And also his most identifiable feature, his missing eye with the scar,
Dun dun dun.
that didn't happen yet. So,
I see what you did there.
and so can Wolf for now, but he will eventually have his eye removed by Ventress, which we don't get to see in the show. Which
I really
I really wish we
hate
would
you
have,
guys
but
sometimes.
why?
We just spent like 30 seconds just doing one crappy pun over and over again.
This is true, but anyways, so moving on to the first episode because we were already kind of diving into it. Rising Malevolence. The quote is, "Belief is not a matter of choice, but of conviction." And yes, as we were mentioning, the clones who are cool, this very much has to do with them because the one that is not Boost or Wolf, whose name I cannot remember, he has gray hair though. Why does he have gray hair? Did he dye it, or is he like?
Maybe it's a cloning mutation.
It might be. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that one had gray hair. I was like, could he really be older than the rest? Because I
Oh.
don't think so. But
His name will be White.
no, I kind of. Actually, you could probably find it pretty easily if you look up members of Wolfpack. Because as we mentioned, they all die. So there's three. There's Wolf, Boost, and the other one. But yeah, so this has to do with them because the belief thing is that the other one, he really does not believe anyone's coming to save them the entire time. He's just like, nobody's coming. Like, we're screwed. We're going to die. And if I was in charge, I honestly wouldn't come save us either because we're clones. We're meant to be expendable. And specifically, he says, we're just clones. We're meant to be expendable. And then Plo Koon responds with, not to me. Which I really liked. That's very Plo Koon-y and also Plo Koon-y. It's very Plo Koon-y, and I really care for the clones as well, so that's kind of how I feel about it. So, what did you guys think about that? Did you like that Plo Koon
Yeah, I
moment?
like that. Uh, it was a very good Plo Koon moment, and I would like to see more Plo Koonian moments in the
Yeah,
future.
we need it. Plo Koon is now a totally legit adjective.
Well, someone just like cheers you up. It's just like, yeah, that's very Plo Koon-y of you.
But yeah, so basically to give a quick overview of the episode though, because I guess we didn't. If you haven't watched it, you probably should. But well, actually, this
Yeah,
isn't
you
ar-
can you
this
can
is the
definitely
this
skip
is
it.
one of the arcs that you can probably skip. It's not bad. Just to put that out there right now, it is not bad at all. It's just not amazing
Like
at all
one of the
either.
one of the best ways I think to describe this is like I was talking about comics with someone, and they're like, "Well, I like to think a lot of them as good question mark."
Yeah, there's nothing inherently wrong with these episodes, but there's nothing inherently like, oh yeah, that part was the best. Like, there's a couple cool moments that I like and things that I, took notice of, but nothing that I was particularly like, you need to watch the arc to see this. But
Yeah,
basically, there's the
There's a super
beginning.
weapon that you'll never see again.
Yeah,
So
there's a super weapon, which is the ion cannon, which just they show in the beginning. It's been using. They say in the very beginning that Republic fleets have been going down by the secret weapon. They have no idea there's not been any survivors, just over and over again. So then we see Plo Koon's fleet engaging with them, and they're disabled, which it turns out to be an ion cannon, which just electrocutes all the ships. They lose complete power, including the shields, and they're just gunned down immediately by this giant ship called the Malevolence, which is piloted by, well, not piloted, it's commanded by Grievous. And basically, Plo Koon and his troops all get in escape pods. They get out of the ship. They're like, "Oh man, we're floating in space. I hope someone comes and gets us." Clones are like, "I don't think
and
anyone's
now
gonna
now
come get
clones are
us."
country for some reason.
Yeah, they're like, I don't think anyone's gonna come get us."
I don't know about that.
And Plo Koon's like, "Man, they're gonna, cause
Oh
we
my!
ain't gonna
I
die."
figured it out. Plo Koon is like the Saint Walker of this. He's like a Blue Lantern. He's like, all will be well.
He pretty much is. If there was a Blue Lantern in the Star Wars universe, Plo Koon would
That would be.
definitely be it.
We're gonna die. No, we aren't.
Um, but then they see other escape pods get cracked open by Hunter, which is a Hunter crew, which is just battle droids with cooler paint and a claw machine.
and a flashlight on their head.
Yep, and they just rip open the other escape pods. They go to rip open Plo Koon's, and Plo Koon ain't having none of that. Him and the clones, they take down the the hunter crew, and then they sit there like, oh gosh, I hope someone gets us. And then Anakin and Ahsoka get them. They get them. They get out of there, and that's the episode.
Da, da, da.
So something I thought was interesting is that they specifically say at the beginning, they've like a bunch of fleets, a bunch of cruisers have been lost to this weapon, but then they specifically say that whenever Grievous is using it against Plo Koon's fleet and Count Dooku's there, he's like, "Oh, this will be a perfect test for our new weapon."
Maybe he just likes to be thorough.
What if they've been? But like, I don't know. How many times do you need to use it before it's not a test anymore? Because they implied that it had gotten rid of a lot of ships and that it was a very big deal. But I just thought that was weird. Um, Plo Koon's mouth. I love his mask, but the animation is a bit odd when he is speaking.
Well, it's early on. Like all the
No,
animation,
it is.
like all the animation for these episodes was like kind of bad.
It's. I wouldn't even say it's bad. It's just, eh. Like,
Like there was times when Ahsoka was shown and she just kind of blended into the ship.
yeah, there are moments. It's not the animation isn't like super hard to watch, but it's certainly not its best. It's the first season though, so again, for me, it seemed like it was better in the Clone Wars movie than it was in this,
Yeah,
which I believe the Clone Wars movie did come out first, right?
yeah.
I mean, they might have put more effort into that though, since that was actually
I would
going
hope
to,
so.
yeah, it's going into theaters and stuff. So I guess that makes sense, but um. yeah, so that we find out about Plo Koon and Ahsoka's relationship. Which, who would like to elaborate on that? What is it? How do they know each other?
Essentially, Plo Koon found her and brought her into the Jedi Order.
Yes, which I believe we do actually see more of later, don't we?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I'm
think we
pretty
see a
sure.
flashback.
Yeah, so
At some
this is the first we hear about it. But yes, Plo Koon and Ahsoka very much have a connection, which is basically, I guess they just wanted to give emotional tie to Plo Koon because he just showed up in the movies. Like, which you know, a lot of that is like a lot of the council members specifically do have episodes in the Clone Wars for that reason to give them character. But Plo Koon they specifically tied to her, which I found very interesting. Why they would pick her? Why they would pick him to be the one who's like the most? I'd say they make him out to be the best. Uh, Plo Koon is one of the other Jedi. You know how whenever we were discussing the Ryloth arc, Luke,
Yeah.
where I'm a Gundai, Master Gundai.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
how he said
Wait, wait,
he's the perfect Jedi, essentially, like he is what Jedi should be.
yeah.
I'd say Plo Koon is another one of those.
I would no. I was actually thinking about that because Ahsoka had one of those moments because they're all talking to like it's Obi-Wan, Yoda, and the Chancellor, and they're talking, and they're like, oh, we need to like go keep moving, and
Oh
she's
no
like,
no
no,
yeah
like we have to go save people.
yeah they had. Oh, don't get me wrong, they had a moment, but Plo Koon is like that 24/7. Ahsoka is
Yeah,
not.
I,
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
just
say.
I thought that's definitely worth bringing up though. She's
Oh,
like,
so did
no,
Anakin
like
though, and
there's
Anakin
people
like
and
the
things.
entire time. I think Anakin's a very different Jedi. I think he is honestly better than a lot of the other Jedi, while still different on his own. It's
I'm
interesting.
really, I'm really confused because like the way he was talking, he was like, hey, you got to know how to operate and everything, like when you're talking to everyone. But then nobody else knew he was going to save everyone. I thought it'd be like, oh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We're going to do what you said, but we'll be there late.
Admiral Yoren did,
Yeah, but at
but
least
yeah,
the
yeah, the Jedi
he's the
didn't.
narrator.
I mean, they should have. I mean, honestly, I don't think they were surprised by it, but yeah.
Yeah,
Either
I
way,
like how he's up there, not even punished at all. It's just like just slap on the wrist.
he succeeded. I mean, he saved a council member's life, so I feel like that is like go you. I do find it odd they didn't even bother looking for the council member. It's not like, oh, let's send one ship to at least, make sure he's not definitely dead. But that is odd. It is really odd. Um, and then the only other thing I really have. Oh, wait. There's a couple other things. Yeah, only other thing I have, two more things, is why don't they fly left or right whenever the ion
Dude,
cannon is
I was
firing at
wondering
them.
that so
Whenever they're in the
much.
twilight, because they're escaping at the end. Why do they not fly up, down, left, or right? I mean, I guess it's like the ion cannon like shot does move very fast, but still,
But it doesn't expand. It's like a very
exactly.
finite circle.
So like, why not? I don't. The main reason is just so they could cut it close, but just why, Anakin? Why didn't you move? You did it later. He literally does in the
Another
next
thing to
episode.
consider is well, the next episode is different because he's in fighter jets that
Y-wing bombers
not
are
jets.
some of the slowest. I'm just putting that out there. I
Yes.
mean, the
Well,
Twilight
let
is
me.
slow too, in all fairness, but still, I feel like flying slightly to the left while still going full speed wouldn't.
That makes me makes me think of
Another
like
thing to
that thing.
consider is he was going into hyperspace at that moment, right? All of his calculations were to
Yeah.
go in that direction, not to
Oh
go
yeah.
slightly to the
Is
left or anything.
Well,
is
actually,
He
hyperspace
was
a
didn't
going into
straight
he?
line?
hyperspace, and
He
that
just
requires a
said
lot of
take us
calculation.
anywhere. He didn't have a set location.
Is hyperspace a straight line? Like when you do it?
Yeah, I believe so.
I would assume so. I don't think you could turn at all.
I have
think
so many problems with that.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there could just be like a rock floating in your straight line, and you're getting wrecked.
I mean, that is why they specifically have
Yeah, yeah.
hyperspace lines, but yeah. I mean, in all fairness, we've shown that you cannot hyperspace through things. That has definitely been shown as of late. Uh,
Well, technically, you can hyperspace through things. It's just you probably won't be
You're just
there
gonna
to
be part of
see
that.
why
the
don't
other
you?
side of it.
I was gonna say, why don't you talk to Admiral Holdo about that? But no, I mean, I don't. Did she go through it? She kind of just went into it. But either way,
It's the same thing.
yeah, I would say it's valid. But he literally said to R2, "Take us anywhere." Like he said, "Take us in hyperspace." Where? Anywhere. Doesn't matter. So it's not like
Well,
he had a specific location.
whatever calculations R2 had set, it was for in that direction, not
He didn't have it
any
set
other
at the
direction.
beginning. It was
Well,
like right before they made the jump.
everybody start tweeting at the guy till we have an answer. Like, who directed the episode? Like, what exact coordinates did he put?
That actually is kind of interesting though. But and then last, your
Who did
failure.
direct it?
Dave Filoni was the one that was mainly in charge. I don't know if he actually I think he. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he directed Clone Wars.
I'm gonna look up real
He
quick.
was very much in charge of Clone Wars.
Because he has a wolf pack.
But Count Dooku says like, oh, your failure. Like this is all your failure. I'm gonna have to go talk to my master about this. Even though he was the one giving the shots
Yeah,
most of the
yeah,
time.
that,
which
that
I
was,
was
that was
like,
just him bullying him.
yeah, Dooku's mean to Grievous, which is a common theme. Um. I don't know. I just found that really odd. Why was Dooku even there? And then Dooku leaves, which isn't outright. He says, "I'm gonna go tell my master," but one would assume a hologram. But no, he actually leaves because the next episode he is a hologram, so he's not there anymore. Which leads us to Shadow of the Malevolence, Shadow of Malevolence. And the quote for that one is, "Easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego."
John,
So is that talking about Anakin?
I thought it was about Anakin and Grievous.
Okay, that's totally
I thought it was
fair.
both.
That's totally fair. I didn't take it as about Grievous. Don't get that definitely applies. That's not what I was thinking.
I took it as Grievous because there's the one point he's like, "Come on, I got a reputation. I got a reputation
To
to
uphold,
uphold."
by killing unarmed
yeah.
clones, but I did find that interesting. Oh, they specifically in the intro call him a diabolic droid commander. Okay, so technically they could be saying like he's the commander of the droids.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
I don't think so. They outright keep calling him a droid like over and over again.
That's cause they're racist.
They really are though, and that's shown to really bother Grievous when people call him a droid. They do that, and then later, like literally in the hangar from the beginning, they call him the head clanker, which
Yeah, I like that.
I definitely take that as they're calling him a droid, like they're calling him a clanker. It's not like the leader of the clankers. Like no, they called him head clanker.
Do they know for sure that he is actually a cyborg rather than
I don't
an
think
actual
they care.
droid?
I don't think they care.
Because that can be taken into account.
No, I know.
I'm sure that
I'm
when he
curious.
first came into play, they definitely didn't know. But do they know now?
I don't know. They know.
I want to
who
say the
Grievous
Jedi
is.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Have
they
they
know
really?
who Grievous is, but do they know that he's a cyborg?
In all honesty, we have no idea how much they've engaged with him at this point. We just know
I
that,
would-
in all honesty, Grievous
would
has not
say-
left many survivors. So it's in all fairness, they might not know.
I would say they know just because like he has the cough.
He doesn't have.
That
it.
could just be programmed.
Does he? He doesn't have that in this episode, does he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Not that bad.
No, it's not that. He didn't get freaking
Yeah,
crushed
but
yet.
to be fair, he doesn't actually interact with any Republic soldiers in any sort of way. So even if he did, it
No,
wouldn't matter.
he fights Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah,
Next
that's right.
episode, but yeah,
All right,
but still beforehand,
so-
yeah, this is before. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it odd that they're calling him that. It's very possible that they don't know he's a cyborg yet because Grievous. I think a big thing that has to do with Grievous is that he's very much one of those things where the legend is bigger than the actual person. Like the name General Grievous inspires a lot more fear and tales than are probably true. Don't get me wrong, the dude is still a monster, and there are moments in this series, even though people claim they made him very soft in this series.
They did. They really
no,
did.
there are moments where he is just as bad, if not worse.
No, I'm not saying there isn't moments when he's awesome, but like overall, like
no, I'm
Legends,
talking about brutal. He's more brutal in this than anything I can name in Legends. Later, he does awful things.
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't know. There's in the Now Legends Clone Wars cartoon where he completely brutally murders
Yeah, like four of
multiple
them.
Jedi with
Yeah, but the
not
way
a
he
second
kills them,
notice.
the way he kills them is not that bad. He
But he just
impales.
bodies-
He crushes a clone with his foot claws. Like
He definitely does that a lot. He definitely does that a lot.
I know, but I'm saying that is the worst thing he ever does in terms of a death. He does it right in front of Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan even winces when he does it later in the series. Obi-Wan's just like,
So,
oh my god, you're going to pay for that. Like, it is brutal. But
all right. So this is the second episode. John, do you want to give an overview for this one?
Okay, so the second episode, Grievous is going to plan on attacking this medical station that has a random Kaminoan on it for no reason.
I was happy with that.
I mean, why for no reason? She knows clone anatomy.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
think
That
but
makes
they
there.
could
sense.
also create medical clone soldiers that could do it for them. Not necessarily.
It would
doesn't
make sense to have one Kaminoan there.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Eric. I
Yeah,
figured that's why she
they
was
would
there.
not make sense to have literally none. On a medical
Their
station,
special
that makes
their
sense.
specialty is to clone clones, not
Which means
to
they would know the insides of
keep after
clones
their
pretty
well-being.
well.
Yeah, but the
They're-
whole
they're
reason they
just
started
humans,
cloning,
right?
but the whole reason they started cloning was to keep their own species alive, like, and like to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm. But like,
Yeah, but they're just essentially clones of a human, so they would just need treatment like any other human,
but
right?
they would know, but they
So
would
just-
run into problems that only clones would have. Like, there's stuff that can go wrong with the cloning process.
Yeah, but that only really happens at the embryonic stage, or
No, it can happen later. It can very much happen later. We'll get into that after the end of the Clone Wars, but into deleted scenes from further episodes. There's specifically characters that are very much altered later in life than they were whenever they were younger. So it's possible.
that's arguable because is it war that turned them into that, or was that a fault of the cloning process?
What?
Oh, it was they outright say it's mutations.
Are you sure about that?
Dude,
Are you sure
we're
about
talking
that?
about the Bad Batch. Do you know why they're called the Bad Batch?
Because
Bad
it
batch of
happened at
clones.
the embryonic stage.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure mostly
Yeah.
happen. But still,
Mutations
there can
happen.
be one nurse out of
Earth.
all the Kaminoans, John. It makes
I-
sense.
Unless you're talking about cancer, mutations don't actually happen after birth.
They can show up
Like
later.
new mutations.
No.
Evidence of undetected mutations can show up later, but that doesn't mean that they aren't there.
Well,
But
tumors
that's-
can show up and they can be
that's-
non-cancerous.
Yeah, and that's still things that are related to the cloning process. And plus, we don't know how
That's-
clones
that's
work,
also
so it doesn't
just-
matter.
That's also just normal human stuff that any doctor should be trained
It's
to
Star
deal
Wars. You don't know all the cloning problems they can have.
I hate when mom and dad are fighting.
with.
Like, how am I supposed to make this an entertaining podcast when, like, John and Eric are just trying to kill each other?
I mean, it is entertaining. We're arguing. No, but
what
seriously,
am I supposed to
there
do?
being
Have you ever
one
seen the
nurse
WWE?
makes sense. Especially
I
when
don't
they're
know about
talking about managing clones. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
no.
if there's a
16,000 clones.
There's
To
a
be
ca-
specific.
Yeah.
there's a Kaminoan in the Senate, like a senator. So obviously they have
Well, that-
different occupations.
Yeah, but that's different because they need
I'm pretty sure we see. Okay,
somebody
we need
to delegate.
We need to keep our eye out because I'm pretty sure other Kaminoans show up in other jobs too later.
I'm not disputing that Kaminoans can have multiple different jobs.
So
I'm
then why
just
does it
saying
make
there
sense
is
there's a
no
medical one?
need. Because there's no need for there to be a medical one. They can just create medical clones that will look after the clones for them.
You know what makes
they
less,
do.
You know what makes less sense than that though? The Jedi being generals instead of actual generals being generals, which is something I have in here. Actually, for this whole
Well,
arc, it made
that's-
me realize that. Why? Why are they? Why did that become their job? Like, I get it so they can, with their whole fall and stuff, realize they lost their way. But, like, whose idea was it, like, they didn't study extreme battle tactics before. I don't
Not
see
on a
any
large
reason.
scale, but they.
Yeah, no, specifically, I know
not
they
on a
know
large
hand to hand.
scale, like
They
with
know
the
hand to hand
actual
combat and
battles.
everything. But like a large scale, which is what a general's for. A general's not for up close combat. That is not what they're for. They're for large scale battles. Why are all the Jedi generals? It doesn't make sense. That makes less sense than
maybe
a
it was-
Kaminoan nurse. By a lot.
That's probably by design. Probably, I would assume that Chancellor Palpatine did that to make it easier to create the downfall of the Jedi.
I mean, but why did the Jedi ever agree to it? I mean, I guess that's what they say is that they lost their way, but I don't understand how they ever thought we are
Because they
competent to do
became
this.
weak.
I don't know, but I don't ever see a point where they were ever thought of themselves as being competent generals. It just does not make sense. Did they all like sit down after the Battle of Geonosis and they're like, okay, guys, we're gonna go over an 8-week briefing on how to be a general?
Yep,
Because I don't know. I just find that odd. I just want to bring
they
that
all
up because that's
meditated.
something that we see. They meditate and they just
Eric,
learn the ways of the general.
it
I could
it's
show you the ways
supposed
that
to
the
not make sense because it's supposed to be a part of their downfall.
But it makes way no, but it doesn't even make sense how they started. I understand that it's for their downfall, but it doesn't make sense how they started. It just doesn't.
Again, Chancellor Palpatine made
But
it so that way.
Chancellor Palpatine isn't in charge of the Jedi Order.
This is a weird
Yeah, but
synopsis.
they've shown through this show that Chancellor Palpatine has an unusual amount of control in the Jedi Order.
Uh, I mean,
He can push the
yes, but
Jedi Order
still,
around to do things that
making
he
the
wants to
Jedi
do.
Order, entire Jedi Order, become generals is a pretty big thing. That's really, I wouldn't say that that's something that just one man can do. I mean, it's
Another thing to take into account is the Jedi are sworn to protect the Republic, and they may not have wanted to agree to it, but it's part of their duty to protect the Republic, and it could be twisted in a way that includes becoming a general to protect the Republic.
but still, they never learned how to be generals. Is my point. Like they just like
Again, that's by design.
But no, it's a plot hole because they actually are generals, is what I mean. It's not that they wanted to take a role in the Republic. That makes sense. I'm saying them actually being able to do that job doesn't make sense. That's just a plot hole in terms of
That's
them
not
learning.
a pothole.
It
That's
is
just
that you don't
no,
learn to become a general in 2 weeks. I'm not. I'm not. I'm
no.
not even
I'm
going to
not
debate that. Like
saying they. I'm not saying that that's what's happened. I'm saying
that is
that
essentially what happened. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying
mm,
you can come up with reasons
Eric,
as to why they wanted to be generals, but them actually being generals in the very beginning of the Clone Wars, that does not make any sense.
just because a decision made by a government body doesn't make sense doesn't mean it's a plot hole. Government bodies make bad
I'm not
decisions
saying
every
the decision
single day.
to have them become generals doesn't make sense. I'm saying how they became generals so quick doesn't make sense. Like actually being able to do their job doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. Is that it doesn't make sense that they know how to be a general. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense that they became generals. That makes sense in
They
terms of
don't
them
know how
being
to make
pushed.
it.
No, they
They don't
do. They constantly throughout the show they keep making right calls over and over.
speak through trial and error.
No, not really. The only error that
Yeah,
ever
really.
happens. No, the only
The,
error that happens is Plo Koon's ships getting destroyed by an enemy weapon that's just been constantly destroying fleets.
Not necessarily. They make very bad calls all the time throughout the Clone Wars.
Not this arc though, which is in the beginning. This is what I'm talking about. This in relation to this arc. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. The entirety of the war, they make this bad decisions all the time. Just because they make good decisions in one small story arc doesn't is not reflective of the entire war.
The Jedi make better calls than you think, really. I mean, they do get outsmarted by. I mean, but still, all generals lose battles, but they don't lose that many. In all honesty, they're better generals than they should be, and I'm standing by that. That's for sure. I'm
A
not saying
lot
that.
of their successes are due to the fact that they lucked into the success. They didn't. A lot of their battle plans aren't actually good battle plans. If you go look online, there are
We'll keep
people that have
checking.
studied actual battles that know pretty fair well like how a battle should go and how well you should do certain things. They have gone into the show and looked at some of the decisions made by the Jedi, and they shouldn't have worked, but they lucked into it
You don't
working
have
out for
enough. Okay, that's totally invalid because you. Don't, I'm not even saying that like that's not true, but those people analyzing it, that's invalid. You do not have enough details from any of these episodes to actually make a call on how a battle would go. We see so little compared to what an actual battle, like a full scale battle, would be. Like you never get
Well,
enough details to actually be able to make a call. I'm just putting that out. Like that has nothing to do with like what we're talking about. Like I still think that what you're talking about, like I kind of get what you're saying. It kind of makes sense, but in terms of actually being able to tell who would win the battle, you do not have none of. They never have enough details
just
to
based
be
on
able to
the
say.
evidence that they give
There's
you, that
not no. There's not even enough to tell anything about the battles really, other than it looks cool. Like they do not ever give
we'll
out ship numbers or anything. Like that's all super important. There's nothing
we'll
that
we'll
you can't make a
we'll bring
prediction
this
about
up
that.
again in a future battle and talk about it then.
If you don't have numbers, you can't make a reasonable prediction. I'm just for sure. But yes, that's pretty
But
much.
if you think about battle plans, you don't really necessarily have
Okay,
to
we're
know
moving on.
exact
No, stop.
numbers.
We are
Maybe,
moving on.
maybe we should do a video where we pick one of the battles and you each argue a side.
We can maybe do that.
Yeah, I'd agree to do that. Of course, I'd win, so I wouldn't want to embarrass Eric.
John, you don't even ever win a debate. I'm just. You never debate well.
Yeah, I don't
I
know,
don't know
John.
about
Like
that. There's
we've heard
there's
about your arguments in the past, and they do not go well in the
Yeah,
end.
John, you might have always think you're right, but that's not the same as winning a debate.
I don't know. There's this guy that always comments on our videos. His name's Darth Forge. He seems to agree with me a lot.
You want
You're
to
only
finish the
proving
synopsis?
proving that right. Yourself, ours,
Wrong.
us, right?
Wrong.
Um,
Fake news. Fake news.
I mean, did you pretty much sum up the episode? I know we got sidetracked.
He
But,
didn't. He got like 2 lines in, and you guys
And then
started
we got
arguing for the
distracted.
past 10 minutes.
they don't. Okay, basically, they don't kill Grievous. They blow up the weapon part of the ship. That's all that matters. After they go through a giant gas place that has
Nebula.
manta rays. Yeah, nebula that has manta rays.
What? Why does everybody draw space animals as like sea creatures?
Because it's a lot like
Because
water.
a lot of ships, the ship designs, they model after the
Ships.
idea of the submarine.
Yeah.
I would just go out of my way to like draw a space dragon. That'd be awesome.
I would have no problem with that.
Like going through the nebula and like, oh my god, it's a giant space sloth.
Like a crate dragon? Oh, a space sloth would be hilarious.
Like giant space sloth just smacking the ships for no reason.
The Bendu could be a space sloth.
That's a space moose.
Although, I was about to say that the Han Solo creature, like the creature in the Han Solo trailer, could be something in space. Although
Which is an octopus.
yeah, I was gonna say, but then I realized it's
It
an
looks like a
octopus with,
nebula.
like, spikes. But either way, yeah, I don't have a ton of notes for this. We already went over the stuff about Grievous. Also, why do they always say that the war is going to end with Grievous's death? Like, why do
I
they
don't
never?
know.
Why they never ever
Because
say like, if
he's-
we kill Dooku? I feel like that's a Jedi bias thing. Like, they still kind of want to believe in Dooku. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, I would like to acknowledge
That made
something.
sense. Go ahead.
I'd like to acknowledge something from the beginning of the episode. Is like me and Eric were talking about this before. Is when Grievous just like smashes a droid and Duke is like, hey, those are expensive.
Yeah. So, although that's actually technically right after this, but yes, they Grievous smashes a droid in anger, which I liked. I liked it when he did that. And then Dooku says, "Don't do that. You know, those are expensive, and the Republic treats their clones better." And Grievous goes, "We're not the Republic. Like their emotions are what make them
Yeah.
weak." And
I would like to think Dooku's still pretty like he's not really evil at this point.
Yeah. I think that's a Dooku's character deserves a lot more diving into than anything ever really gives him because
He's an incredibly sympathetic character.
he's an
in all
incredibly
actuality.
complex character too. Like
I
there's
think-
so much more to him than we ever really get. Even though we do get a lot throughout media, I still don't think there's anything that shows super well exactly that he really is not trying to be evil.
Dooku
I
movie
think
coming
he
soon.
truly does. I think he truly does believe that the stuff he is doing in the war is for the betterment of
The
of the future.
Republic.
He
Well,
actually
not necessarily
does
the Republic.
The
but
Republic
just
of
for the-
Democracy.
no, he believes in the world. He was trying to get the Empire. Like he knew about the plans for the Empire. He thought that like he could bring like order and everything. he didn't think Sidious was a good dude. Like, he actually did want to, like, get rid of Sidious. Like, his
Yeah.
offer to Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones, that wasn't a joke. Like, I don't think enough people understand that. That was a serious
Yeah, that's
offer.
so sad.
Like,
I like after I read about like that scene makes me so sad because he's like please just side with me like we could save so much pain like please just believe me.
and he doesn't, yeah. But, yeah, so we have that whole thing with Dooku just at the beginning telling him battle droids are expensive, which is just an outright lie. That's really the entire point of battle droids is they aren't expensive. But whatever. That was just really weird, and I don't know why they put that in there. I just found that very odd. But like I
Oh,
said, why do they always call for Grievous's head? They always say the war will end once, like,
because
pretty
he's a
much right after
general.
Grievous dies. But Dooku! I mean, don't get me wrong, General Grievous is more of the war leader than Dooku is, but there is no way that the war would just end when Dooku is still alive. Like, Dooku could take his place. Would he want to? No. Would he do it? He'd do it or get someone that could. Like, I honestly, as much, I love General Grievous, I think he's super cool and everything, but, like, his death before Dooku is dead does not mean much. I'm just putting that out there. Like, I
Yeah,
feel like it wouldn't
made
really matter at
sense.
all.
It made sense in episode 3 after Dooku's
Yes.
death, whenever they said
100%.
it, but
Yes.
I feel like it was just an oversight of the writers where they were like, oh, they mentioned that this would cause the war to end in
Uh,
episode 3, so this is just the general census of what they believe
hmm
early on. I feel like that's just an oversight of the writers, um, all because they said it in episode 3, but it really only makes sense in episode 3
Yeah,
because Count Dooku's
as
dead.
you said, yes, once Dooku is dead, it makes perfect sense. Like, it absolutely makes sense. Grievous becomes a lot more important to the cause rather than his job. Um, but before Dooku's dead, no, not at all. It does. I mean, it would still be a loss, and it would improve morale for the Republic for sure, because he's a legend. But in terms of like actually bringing the war to an end, that would not change it that much. And I say that as a massive Grievous lover. So,
As at the risk
It
of
could also
starting
be
another argument, I just like to this is like it's just in my notes. But I kind of want to know how like the Kaminoans or like the Kaminoans, however you say it, like how they see the clones.
um,
they kind of see them more as property than anything,
it depends on
just
the
on what I've seen.
individual. Like, there are a couple that do feel sympathetic towards them, but overall, as a species, they do not care about them in the slightest. They are
Because
they very
like
much view them as property and
like
business.
it had me laughing like because they had that nurse one
Uh huh.
like on the medical way she's talking to a clone. I'm like I wonder if she just sees him like oh it's like he's talking.
No, and she specifically like said she wouldn't leave. Those were all
Yeah.
clones. Like, if she just like that one obviously cared, because if she literally just viewed them as products and business, she would leave. They have so many more. Like, it wouldn't actually be that big of a deal. So she cared, but overall, yes, it's made very clear throughout Star Wars that Kaminoans, I believe that's how you say it, but Kaminoans, however you want to say it, as a whole,
I think it's Kaminoans.
I believe is Kaminoans. But overall, as a species, they do not care about them in the slightest. They are objects. They are business. Which, in all honesty, it's what their species is founded on for doing for a living for everyone. So I mean, I understand why they see it as business. It's not very compassionate at all, and like I said, there are a few, but
Uh,
overall, for centuries and centuries, that's all they've been doing. So I understand why they don't really
yeah.
take them that seriously.
And I'm just throwing it out there. A clone named Matchstick burned to death. Just throwing it out
Yeah,
there.
I
Did you
have that in
notice
my
there
notes.
was a small bit of inconsistency where Matchstick was the one that got hit and he was burning, but later they asked Broadside, and he is the one who is the damaged spot on this ship. But then later again, whenever that spot acts up during the battle, it is Matchstick that dies. I caught that really quick.
I
It's
don't.
really odd.
Broadside's also
I
transformed.
actually double checked. Like, I can confirm that that actually is what happened. I just found that very odd. And their helmet designs are very similar in
Huh.
terms of the black layout, but it's like you can actually go check, like, because there's specifically 3 instances where it's mentioned where it happens. Then later afterwards, like once they are out, they specifically say, "Are you doing okay?" That's when it is not Matchstick. Then the third time, it is Matchstick, and that's when he dies, which bummed me
What
out
if
because I
they're
really liked
both on the
Matchstick's toy.
same ship?
I don't think he is because it showed him in the cockpit. And also, Broadside is the one that Matchstick was talking to earlier, like radioing, saying, I'll buy drinks after this if we
Yeah.
live, which he didn't. I don't know if
As soon
Broadside
as I
does.
said that, I knew they were gonna die.
I don't know if Broadside does. I'm kind of curious. What would Broadside do? Do you think he would buy drinks, or do you think he wouldn't buy drinks in memory of Matchstick, who said he would?
Comment
I
below.
really don't think this is relevant at all.
Comment
I really
below.
don't
Would
care.
he buy drinks? I would buy drinks.
I think this topic is the least interest that I have in this episode.
I do find those clone pilots' design cool, though. Shadow Squadron, like I just like their helmets, especially Matchstick. I had a toy of Matchstick with the teeth and then the tongues going through. Like I liked his helmet.
At first, I thought they were called.
They're action figures.
At first, I thought they were called Shatter Squadron. And I'm like, that's so much more awesome than like Shadow Squadron.
I agree. Now I want a Shatter Squadron.
I'm like,
but
okay, yeah,
have a
they're
clone
pilots that destroy stuff. That'd be awesome.
And a clone named Shard.
Yeah, like if it was all just like based around like breaking
we are gonna
stuff,
come up with our own character, our own squad,
Dude,
Shatter Squadron.
we're making our own squadron
That's
video.
gonna happen. That's gonna be cool. What color is it gonna be? It's gonna be purple. I'm not asking, just because there aren't enough purple clones.
What were they gonna blend in, Eric?
I don't care. Who cares about blending in? They don't half the time. More than half the time. It's very rare. Only on Kashyyyk, really. And in the Clone Wars movie, where there's the biker clones that have the camo, the scout troopers, they blended in too. Those pretty much like the only times. Every other time
We're
they're-
making Shatter Squadron.
And the flame troopers on Geonosis. The second battle of Geonosis, they do blend in only because they're brown. Next thing I have,
What would the Shatter Squadron speciality be?
Shatter Squadron.
They're all nihilistic.
Their leaders, Darth Nihilus. I'm just kidding. That's totally impossible. But
They're all just nihilistic.
oh gosh,
It's not impossible, it's just improbable.
they. Okay. Anyways, next thing
That's for
is
another video.
Grievous. He says, "I have a reputation to uphold." So he specifically wants to kill all survivors. I think that they actually planned this out a lot more than people give them credit for. Where Grievous, they wanted to expand on the fact that, like, yes, he's been shown as, like, indestructible, the most amazing thing ever. And I think they went about this series wanting to create a realistic approach, but still incorporating that, where he specifically does have major victories as a general, where it makes sense. It makes sense that General Grievous is a general. And then he
Makes
actually,
dollars, actually.
he's a magnificent general. Like, that's not even really debatable, I think, at least. I mean, he does have losses, but most of the time, those aren't his fault. Whenever he's usually calling the shots, the battles tend to go well for him. Like, he has destroyed a lot of fleets. He's killed a lot of Jedi, through space battle alone. Now, hand-to-hand combat, he's not as great, but that makes sense because he's an actual general. Now, he has this awesome body, and he is able to engage, which is impressive on its own. But I think that they went about this series wanting to show that he had realistic abilities, but he had this legendary standing because he was such a magnificent general. He could wipe out entire fleets and create legends. Like, people would tell stories. Like, there's this amazing general
John,
who
check
literally
the
just
chat.
kills everyone. So, yeah, I just found that very interesting. Wait, what'd you say?
Check the chat.
Oh my God.
On Shatter Squadron. I'm sorry. It said auto-corrected to Shatter.
Oh, jeez. That is terrible. We're not going to
Oh
acknowledge
my
that. We're
God.
not going to acknowledge that. But I just find that very interesting that they took that approach to Grievous. Like, I don't know. I actually appreciate it. No, don't get me wrong. Animated Clone Wars on Grievous is like the coolest Star Wars character ever in terms of what he's able to do. But having that in like canon, that wouldn't work. Because let's be real, that Grievous would not lose a fight ever.
Dude, I was thinking about this like when they had the rollers showing up and like Kenobi was whipping them around. Wouldn't it be cool if they designed Grievous as like to be a roller too?
To be a what?
Like one of the roller droids.
Oh, a droidica or a just
Yeah, like how cool would that be? Just like General Grievous just comes rolling in.
see, they're called droidicas or destroyer droids. Is that what it's called? Now I can't
They
remember
just
the
call
other
they
name.
call them rollers.
No,
So I just go with
they
it.
almost never call them rollers. It's always droidicas or I think destroyer droids.
You know what I'm talking
But
about. Like
no,
how
I know what
cool
you're
would
talking.
that
Yeah.
look though?
Um.
Like if it was armor or something, like when he went into a ball. That'd be
I'm okay
so
that they didn't
awesome.
do that.
But it'd be so
He's
awesome.
already cool enough. Plus, his vehicle essentially is that, which you don't see in
Yeah,
the Clone
yeah.
Wars, but yeah, that is essentially what his vehicle is in Revenge of the Sith. I also found it interesting that the medic, Kaminoan medic, says, "It's our only hope." It just seemed very Princess Leia-y to me.
Oh, and they did the thing with like, why are you spinning? Oh, that's a pretty good trick.
Yeah, I liked that. You know, it was like kind of making fun of Revenge of the Sith. And then who said I have a bad feeling about this? I have it marked. Someone said
It
it
was
in
one of
that
the
episode.
droids. It was one of the
Okay,
droids with
that's what I thought.
Grievous.
The droids are actually kind of funny. Not gonna lie,
I love the droid
they
humor.
they
Like,
are actually pretty
that-
funny. Like, and that's
that'll
something
never.
that I would expect to find funny as a kid, and then come back as, much older and be like, oh my god, that is awful. But no, it's still pretty funny.
Yeah, it's just so stupid.
I know they're so funny. But
I
anyway,
like when they're like, "Hey, did we get him?" and he just gets shot in the head.
yeah. But last episode, Destroy Malevolence. Quick summary. The Malevolence can't
They
go
destroy the
anywhere.
Malevolence.
They disabled the Malevolence already. Padme shows up because
For no reason.
Fan service.
well, not for
Shipping.
no reason. It specifically being Padme was just because it was like we need a character that fits the role that we need to have happen. That the audience knows, and Padme's. I mean, the only other person they really could have done is Bail Organa, but Padme they did.
Nobody likes
But
her.
it made sense why she was there. It just why was it specifically Padme? Mainly because fan service. I hate you. Just reading the chat. I hate you.
Okay, quick thing here. Even though our things are never quick.
Don't if you're
What?
gonna say what you said in the chat. Don't.
No,
Okay.
no. Why? Did they ever question like, hey guys, like Padme was told to come here to negotiate, but it was actually a trap. Who told her that?
I mean, they do at the very beginning. I have that in my notes though. Like they really did not care about that much, which was alarming. But at the very beginning, C-3PO is like, "Are we sure the information that Chancellor Palpatine gave us is reliable?" And she was
Yeah,
like,
like-
"Yeah, it was very emergency and everything." So I mean, in all fairness, Palpatine obviously orchestrated the trap, but
Yeah,
you-
that should definitely be a red flag.
you could play it off as Palpatine just being like, "Oh yeah, my source. I guess they must have gotten bad info or something, or my source."
Yeah,
lied. I don't know, but
I think it's one of those things like worth bringing up. Though, like, oh,
oh,
no,
absolutely.
I was tricked too.
I feel like they should have. Yes, I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm not going to say yeah. It's not like that was proof. Like, oh my God, he's the Emperor. But still, yeah, they should have been a little more concerned about the fact that like she was given extremely false info. She wasn't sent into like a trap. Like, oh yeah, we said we were going to negotiate, but we have guns. Like, we got you.
Ba,
No,
ba, ba.
she was sent into the middle of an actual space battle. She's a senator. I'm just saying that is crazy, and she was way too close to it. Like she could have easily gotten destroyed, but then they pull her into the ship. She's abducted because that's what General Grievous is using as his leeway to get out of there. She's his hostage. Grievous can't find her because
Yep, but a hostage.
because Padme
But a
is
hostage.
sassy. But she's still on board, so
She's sassy.
yeah, that's why he couldn't catch her. But Anakin and Obi-Wan, they get on board. They save her and C-3PO. They get off. They sabotage the ship. They get off, and then General Grievous is chasing them in his personal starfighter, while the Malevolence is like, "Oh yeah, we can finally go to hyperspace again. Like we fixed it, yay!" Even though really Anakin sabotaged it. So Grievous is like, "All right, I'll meet you there." The hyperspace, the ship turns towards the moon, and totally just hyperspaces into the moon. I actually don't know if the hyperspace. I don't think it did. I think it just flew straight into the moon. Either way, that ship did not make it out. But General Grievous did. But not
Yeah, I like the Grievous
not
just
until Count Dooku send a transmission to him. He's like hologramming him. He's like, all right, you and the Malevolence coming back soon? The Malevolence got destroyed. General Grievous did not even say a word, and he hangs up on Dooku. Which, gotta say, that was awesome. But anyways, the quote is, "A plan is only as good as those who see it through." Is that...
Okay, no, I think that one's kind of bad because they make a point of like saying like, "Oh, Anakin, your plan's pretty stupid to just go in there and sneak on."
But in all fairness, it's saying that it's as good as those who see it through. So I mean, they could be saying that even though you had a shitty plan, that it's better because he's awesome. But part of me was taking it as a plan is only as good as those who see
C-3PO
it
almost
through.
ruins it.
I was thinking that maybe it's bad. That maybe it was saying General Grievous was incompetent, even though I really don't think what he did was... I don't know, I didn't think he was that bad, but...
He didn't really have a plan.
I mean, like, the whole escape plan, the hostage plan, I guess. But
Yeah. But that wasn't
I
even
guess he
his
kind of
plan.
botched. I'm
He's
not
just
sure.
trying
Yeah,
to-
that wasn't his plan, so... But I guess, I don't know. I kind of think that maybe it was trying to reference that, but I would say that, yeah, this isn't the best quote. It's not awful. It's still relevant. Unlike...
Two out
which
of
one-
3 ain't bad. That's
which
passing.
Which one was that? There was one of the ones, I forget, it was one of the first episodes we did where the quote did not make any sense. Like, we actually
I think it might have been the first one. It might have been the very
we
first
could
one.
not relate it at all, which I just find crazy.
Oh,
think that's
and
hilarious.
was this whole episode just like an homage to episode 3?
There were a lot of...
Like at the
yes.
beginning, like the beginning of episode 3?
Yes, there were a lot of... And also later with his battle with Grievous, they homaged that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a lot of homages to Revenge of the Sith, which I'm okay with, because in all honesty, I like a lot of moments from Revenge of the Sith. Overall, I'm not going to say it's an amazing movie.
Just don't put the moments together.
It's the best movie out of the prequels, for sure. I don't see how anyone could not think so. I mean, maybe someone does, but like, I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense to like one more than the other. Like, that's fine, you can like whatever you like, but in terms of like actually not being a terrible movie, I think episode 3 is by far the best out of the prequels in terms of just objectively looking like which one is a better movie. I don't know, do you guys agree with that or no?
Yee.
I'd say I'd agree with that too.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's an amazing movie, but out of the prequels, it is, I think, very much a step above the others. I have my whole thing about why are the Jedi in charge, but we already got to that. Also, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got to that. Don't worry.
Grievous. Grievous has his cape on. I love Grievous with his cape, so like I love that, but why did he just wait to put it on until the 3rd episode?
Yeah, like he's just walking around without it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, our ship might be destroyed." It's I gotta save my cape.
Oh yeah, I gotta put the cape on. I can't forget it. But you know the best part? He only has it for a little bit, because then he goes down to where Padme almost kills General Grievous. I think Padme came closer to killing General Grievous than anyone ever does in this show. Okay, maybe the episode in his castle. No, I would even say so. Like, he gets banged up really bad in the episode in his castle, but there's never a point where I thought, like, oh gosh, Grievous almost just died. Even though he gets torn to pieces, like, he still is killing people with no legs. Like, he's a monster in that episode. This one, he almost dies by a few seconds.
I think it would have made him look really awesome if he just tanked that explosion.
I mean, it still does give us a cool moment where immediately afterwards he does get covered by debris, and then he just punches up through the debris, which I like.
Yeah,
I thought that looked really
if he was
cool.
point blank in the explosion and that happened, it would have been like, damn, that's awesome. Like,
but I feel like that
it.
you can't do that because of the fact that his weakness later on is fire, which I know that his chest was opened up, but still, like, you can only contain. So I don't know. Don't get me wrong, him surviving the explosion would have made him seem super cool, but I feel like that would be going too far into, like, making him indestructible. But I don't know.
Not my general.
I'm just saying that I do think that they really did try to take the approach of, like, a realistic, where it's like, he's realistic, but he still has the legends of everything that's come before, which I think makes sense. Don't get me wrong. Other Grievous is super, super amazing and cool to watch. But this one's actually realistic, and I actually like it. So, but yeah, I did like the moment where he punches out of the rubble, which, yes, he loses his cape then, because it got, burned and covered by... I know, which I'm like, man,
it should have been like a Batman cape where it's just impervious to everything.
See, there's also the firefighter droids. They're kind of cool. I like their colors. They're like gunmetal gray with like yellow
They're
stripes.
just really stupid.
Oh, they're really stupid. That was funny, but I actually kind of like their colors. I just find cool. Although they aren't my favorite droids. My favorite droids will be in the next episode. Actually, my favorite like unit of droid like design. It's commandos. We'll get there though.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for the spoilers. Now I don't even want to watch or listen next week. Ruined my whole week.
Next thing we have is, why did the battle droids shoot at Padme? I totally understand. They shoot at Anakin, Obi-Wan. That makes sense. Why did they shoot at Padme? That was their hostage.
It was like 2 seconds after, they're like, hey, by the way, we need them alive.
Yeah, like, we need to get our hostage back. Like, I want the hostage on the bridge. And then they find the hostage. And they shoot her. I mean, they don't hit her because they suck. Which they specifically, like, make the comparison of, like, oh, man, our aim is terrible. Like the Stormtrooper joke. But no, they actually shoot at Padme without hesitation. Battle droids are stupid. Or, I don't know, maybe that was just an oversight and they were just like, action scene. But either way, they very much needed Padme alive and they did not hesitate to shoot her. So, I'm just putting that out there. Also, Grievous really I put this where we get the homage to Episode 3 where Obi-Wan and Grievous's final fight in Revenge of the Sith. How it starts is, him jumping down and then all the droids surrounding him. And then he orders them, to stand down like, I'll deal with the Jedi myself. And we get that same scenario where all the droids close in on Kenobi. They're all surrounding him and Grievous is there. Except this time, Grievous makes a smart move and tells him to fire. And then Obi-Wan wipes out all the droids.
I just like the one droid. He's like, wow, that's impressive.
I know. He goes, wow, that's impressive. And Grievous tears his head off and he falls down a cliff, which I thought was awesome. But I did think it's interesting. I also thought it was cool they showed off his strength because they showed Obi-Wan force pushing the droidicas over all the battle droids and it tramples them like both times. And he does it a third time. And Grievous just grabs it and tosses it like nothing. It was just like, yes.
Why did he throw it back at him?
Maybe it actually was heavy is my guess and he could only like just kind of shove it off. But I don't know.
I was just thinking like, oh, he could do that. And they're just like, droidica, go. Like, you're still alive.
In all fairness, Kenobi could dodge that easily. I mean, he's a Jedi. So, like, dodging is one thing that a Jedi can do pretty easily. But, yeah, I don't know why Grievous didn't throw it at him. I kind of thought that, too. I don't know. But I did still think it was impressive that, strength-wise, it was just like, oh, my God, they got plowed over. Oh, Grievous just catches and tosses it to the side. I think he was angry. So I think he was kind of throwing it like, oh, God, you suck. Like, I think, but I don't know. And then, last thing I have, then we can go into your guys' notes or anything else, is Grievous hanging up on Dooku. I don't know. I really liked that. I don't know why he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked it. So, yeah. What else did you guys think about the episode overall?
Go, John.
Any other notes?
It was just, I don't know.
This is definitely the best out of the three. Just putting that out there.
Just like we're talking about Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
See those tie-ins? See those connections we make?
Yeah,
we planned that ahead.
No,
we planned that an hour ago.
Maybe they did that on purpose. They're like, this is the third episode of this arc. It's gonna be the Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. See, episode 1 was just like, yeah, we're introducing a bunch of people.
Although, like we said, there's nothing inherently bad about this arc. It's just kind of boring.
Not great.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not bad at all.
So when they were trying to find Padme, they made a point to show like they have good scanners and everything. Why didn't they scan the ship for like signs of life?
So that's something that they didn't do earlier in the arc either. They were scanning for, like droid signals.
Yeah, but I feel like they definitely should have been able to do that.
Oh, don't get it wrong. I think they should have been able to, but for some reason they had already previously established that that ship doesn't scan for life forms. I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, I'll accept that.
I agree. It should, but for some reason they just established this ship does not scan for life forms. Period. Which is just weird.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
So next week we'll have. I think we'll just do one episode because this is a pretty big deal episode.
I don't remember what it is.
It is rookies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna block it out from my head.
So
Okay.
this
Gonna
is the
block it
one
all
where
out.
this is the one where whatchamacallit. That one will be about Domino Squad. This is their actual. This is the first time they were ever seen on screen. We have already covered their first episode in canon in chronological order, Clone Cadets, where we see them train. This is them actually on duty in the middle of nowhere. And,
I hope it goes well.
And I was gonna say, if you haven't seen the episode, you probably should because it's one of the most iconic episodes of the Clone Wars. Like most well known. I won't say that it's the best episode, but it's one of the most well known. Because Domino Squad is insanely popular. Yeah, they all die except for 2. So get ready for that. Next week will be an emotional episode. Well, I'll be emotional, Rex. But yes,
Emotional Rex.
yes. Hey, Rex was probably sad. Rex is in that episode, so.
I know.
I do
just
find
wanted
it
to make a
interesting.
point.
I'm curious because I know they'll never had the episode pulled up and it showed the picture for the next episode, which is the rookies. It showed a picture of General Grievous, so I'm pretty sure he's in the next episode. I'm curious if they pick up on the fact that like he just hung up on Dooku and said nothing. If they'll acknowledge that or no. I don't know. I'm curious if Dooku will just talk to him like normal or if we'll get nothing from. I don't know. I'm just interested to see if that is ever acknowledged because I don't know. That just really stuck out to me because Dooku does like bully him the entire time, and then last thing is he just hangs up. He's like no. So. I don't know.
No.
All right.
No.
But anyways, that's about it for this episode. You can make sure to check out our other shows. We have Transformers shows. We have comic-based shows. We have a breakdown similar to this show of Transformers.
We have comic shows?
Prime. Well, Awesome Asylum is based on comic stuff.
Is it?
Yeah.
I
For the
didn't know
most part,
that.
yeah. It mostly does comic book stuff, but it can go into
Like-
other kind of
like-
popular media.
Do you guys talk about Comicsgate at all or no?
Wait, what?
Mm,
I don't even know what
look
you're
up,
talking about.
look up Comicsgate, dude. It's crazy.
Is that the whole thing with Marvel and their...
Yeah, we'll talk about it after we finish
Okay, I
this
think I
one
know
up.
what you're talking about. No, they haven't talked about that on that. But either way, check out our other podcast. And if you're listening on YouTube, cool. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if that's your thing. If you're not listening on YouTube, good job. We're available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean,
I don't know how that works.
Stitcher, all of that. So make sure to go subscribe to us there for your podcasting needs. You'll get all of our different podcasts. So yeah,
Maybe if we just start like advertising like a product, they'll just pay us after a while.
That's
I don't think it works that
that's
way.
not how advertising works. Because if you do free advertising, they typically don't pay you. But we don't do this for money, anyways. Because if we did, we would definitely be doing something else.
I do it for money.
Yeah, John gets
He
rich
needs
from
that
this,
mic.
but neither of us do. Just John. So, yeah, if you want to get in touch with any of us, specifically about Star Wars stuff or any other things, because we are hosts on other shows, except Luke, because Luke sucks.
What?
What? You can find us on social media. So you can find me on Twitter at Eric Crowbar. I post lots of Transformer stuff, and I also talk about a lot of different things on Twitter. And if you really like silly joke Transformer stuff, then at Aramis Prime
None of
on
it's funny.
Instagram
It's
is
never
where I
actually
post.
funny.
It's bad funny, like the Battle Droids, where it's awful, which is what makes it funny. But at Aramis Prime on Instagram. But like I said, that's almost always just Transformer joke things. And yeah, that's about it. So John, where can we find you?
Find me at Darth_Forge on Twitter and other podcasts that I star in on the Nerdy
And
Geek Talk.
Luke.
You can find me on Twitter at Darth_Sand66, where I rant about random stuff once I figure it out.
Yes, like no VR, Yu-Gi-Oh, and
Dude,
Digimon
why is
video
VR
games.
Yu-Gi-Oh not a thing?
Who knows? But either way,
Like-
that is about it for this episode. So, thank you for watching, and that's about it. Bye.
Pew, 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 pew.